We all saw Carlee Russell's case garner national attention, and people were fighting for her to get back home just to find out we were all being deceived. I'm Rosemarie Miller here with Ruth Richardson, a Minnesota state representative who pushed the initiative for the nation's first Office of Missing and Murdered Black Women and Girls. Thank you so much for joining me today, Ruth.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How you feeling?
Just keeping up the good fight.
Fight the good fight. Well, so why do you think this case, of all the cases that are out there, because we know there are a lot, garnered national attention?
There's two sort of interesting things here. I think that one of the reasons that this case garnered so much attention is just the awareness that we have about human trafficking and sexual exploitation. And at the beginning of hearing about Carlee Russell's disappearance, what we were hearing is that maybe she was lured by a topper. And so there was sort of this idea that, is there someone out there who's using children as a way to exploit women? So I think part of that is part of the reason that this went viral. But what I find really interesting is, in the days since Carlee was found safe, and I'm glad that she is safe, there has been a lot of talk about from the very beginning that law enforcement didn't believe that this was an abduction case. And so it's interesting the level of attention that was provided by the department as well, in a space where they were sort of questioning what was happening early on within this case.
It, it, I'm glad you said that because I almost find it odd that I'm not going to say the one, but the case that isn't real is the one that got all the attention. And it makes me wonder. I just want to know your thoughts. Could it be that it was expected to come out as fake and that there would be a bigger story to capitalize on after that happened? Is that the only reason that this case was pushed?
Yeah, at this point, we would be speculating, but what we know for sure is that even once Carlee was home, seen at the hospital, this story continues to grow. And it is not lost on me that while we are hearing about Carlee's case just continually, we're not hearing about the 100,000 other Black women and girls who are missing. And so there is this interesting sort of irony here. The case that law enforcement didn't believe was a true abduction case from the very beginning, we saw them respond in a way that communities have begged them to respond in cases that are currently old. And now that we know the situation, and Carlee has come out and said through her attorney that she in fact lied and apologized for that we're continuing to see the coverage of this case, and we're not hearing about these other cases that exist out there.
And is that going to impact if we will hear about the real cases out there?
So here's the reality: it shouldn't. The reality is the attention that Carlee's case received is the attention that all of the cases involving Black women and girls in this nation should receive, in terms of thinking about the estimated 100,000 of them that are currently missing. And this case did a couple of things. A, it showed it's possible. It's possible to get to a place of where you have law enforcement pushing this forward in a way that keeps attention on the case, and you have community working to keep attention on this case. So we know how to do this. And anyone who uses this case as a reason not to believe Black women in the future or not to provide resources immediately upon report is probably likely someone who was never invested in ensuring that they would be bringing back home Black women and girls safely. Because this idea that Carlee's case is so unique, it is not. Because we can point to cases within the media of white women who have faked their abductions. I think it was like in 2005, the runaway bride, Jennifer Wilbanks, didn't want to get married, and so she concocted a plan so that people would believe that she was missing. There was another case in 2016, I think it was Sherry Papini. She was with her boyfriend, an ex-boyfriend. She was trying to get out of one relationship and had people believing that she had been abducted. And in fact, when she returned home, created this whole elaborate story of being kidnapped by two Hispanic women and was believed for a very long time. And so just understanding that what has happened with Carlee is not unique. We've seen this in cases of white women as well.
Ladies, do not let your man ruin your life. Oh, my goodness.
You know, that might actually be kind of the moral of this story because Jennifer Wilbanks' case, Sherry's case, and even Carlee's case, there is a man at the center of all three of these cases.
These men,
And
these men.
And I think it also opens up the opportunity to have a conversation about mental health, right? As well. And understanding that, and I don't know anything about Carlee's case in that regard, but when we talk about sort of the crisis of missing women and missing Black women within this nation, it's complex. We can talk about sexual exploitation and substance use disorders, but we have to talk about mental health as well. And I think that that's going to be an important part of this conversation as the story continues to unfold with Carlee as well.
I 100% agree. But Ruth, I must ask, has this case changed sentiments at all around your office for missing and murdered Black women and girls?
So, it's a really important question. And again, the answer should be it shouldn't, right? Because we have the data. We have been admiring this problem for decades within this country and admiring it to the point that when we even talk about how many Black women and girls are missing across our nation or within our states, no one can tell you what that true number actually is. And this is something that is at a crisis level. And we also know that our cases stay open 4 times longer than cases involving white women as well. So we know that there is a need for this office, that there's a need for this infrastructure to be built across our nation. And if people are using this case as a reason to try to dismantle that work, then those are individuals who fail to be able to see the humanity of people who look like you and me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Ruth.
Thank you for having me.